them. It's about providing the best comfort solutions. And Bryant gives you a full 24-month test drive on your home comfort system. Get full details at BryantLincoln.com or call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Tailored Lights is your go-to local manufacturer and installer of the best landscape lighting. Tailored Lights is excited to highlight the architecture of your home or business and provide a warm environment that feels safe. And for those outside the Lincoln area, they do ship across the country and are happy to work with anyone near or far with lights anywhere from 18 inches to 110 inches. Enhance your curb appeal with an exquisite tailored light today. Call 402-432-2572 or go to tailoredlights.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is Adam Carriker on the ticket.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. It's my favorite day of the week. No, not because it's Monday. Nobody likes Mondays unless it's a holiday. You got a case of the Mondays? I used to love that old movie, Office Space. Great movie. Not highly energetic or entertaining, yet it was very entertaining and hilarious all at the same time. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Victory Monday. Just because the game was on Friday doesn't change the fact that the very next Monday is a Victory Monday. All right. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't exactly gorgeous to the eye, except the final score was absolutely beautiful. Nebraska beats Illinois, as you're all aware by now, 20-7 on Friday evening of last week. Now, real quick, got another great show today. Adam Carriker on The Ticket, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time every Monday and Tuesday with the Chronicles and Thursday with the Big Ten Show. And then I'm live again on Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch and join me during the weekdays. Also, Steve Taylor from noon to 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. Grab your lunch. Join me. Let's have some fun. I'm live Mondays and Fridays. As always, send me your questions, your comments, your concerns. 402-464-5685. That's the People's segment. We will gather all your questions, store them up for the last 10 minutes of the show, 12:50-ish to 1 p.m. Again, send me your questions, comments, concerns for the People's segment, 402-464-5685. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. I want to briefly be that guy that looks to the schedule. How dare I? Oh, my gosh. Like it's a forbidden thing to look ahead to the future games coming up on Nebraska's schedule. But I'm going to be that guy. We're not going to spend an uber amount of time on it. But there's some other things throughout this week that I want you to keep an eye out for. All right, I'm going to be on the Carriker Chronicles. I just literally finished an interview with Bill Bush. All right, another member of the 93.7 The Ticket family. The the 93.7 The Ticket Force. That is the 93.7 The Ticket family. That'll go up tomorrow on Tuesday. All right, so check that out on Thursday. I'm going to be interviewing Jordan Larson, volleyball legend, great, now helping coach the Nebraska volleyball team. That'll go out on Thursday. And I will dare to predict if Nebraska's going to make a bowl game. Okay, that might go out Saturday. And then Monday, I'll put out my interview with Husker legend and great Kenny Bell. Now, admittedly, most years during the bye week, most people are aware that for about a week or so, interest kind of dwindles a little bit, especially as you get to mid to late bye week. Once Tuesday's over, the fans kind of go into bye week mode, which is understandable. So most years, I don't put out a whole lot of content during the bye week. Well, this isn't most years, ladies and gentlemen. This was like the month of August when I was pumping out interviews and all sorts of stuff that I was having a blast doing. People seem to enjoy it. So this may be the most excited I've ever been for a bye week on 93.7 The Ticket and on the Carriker Chronicles of all time. All right, so check out those interviews as this week goes along. Today's show, we got a plethora of things to talk about. I will be joined at 12:30. Yet another great interview, Husker legend, okay, Nebraska's all-time leading rusher at the time that he left the university. Well, he didn't leave, but his eligibility ran out, so he left because of his eligibility running out. But you get my point. Tony Davis, all right, he'll be joining me. This is a man who is known not only for being a Husker great, he was also a Sugar Bowl MVP, a Cotton Bowl MVP, the Cincinnati Team Bengals MVP. This is a man who's pretty honest with his thoughts. So I always enjoy my conversations with Tony. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the People's segment. Before we light this candle and dive right into another glorious Victory Monday, be sure to check out GE Landscape Supply, as they have pavers and boulders, great accents for any backyard landscaping project. They sell to homeowners and contractors, and they deliver anywhere, near or far. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Check out gelandscapesupply.com or call 402-467-1627. All right, Nebraska back to 500, 3-3 with a 20-7 win over Illinois. Yes, the defense played great. Gave up the one long touchdown pass, okay, and the first drive of the game may have been the most important drive of the game. Illinois makes it look all too easy, goes right down the field, and they've got like a 3rd and goal, and you're like, oh, man, they're going to score, and then bam, we get a stop. 4th and goal from like the 6-inch line, 1 foot line, whatever it was, bam, we get a stop. Turn the entire tide of the game. After that, Illinois really struggled. Okay, they averaged 1.1 yard per carry. In fact, I think the rest of the game, they had -3 yards rushing after that first drive. I'd have to go back and double check that to make sure, but I think that's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, barring the one long touchdown pass that Nebraska gave up later on in the game, the Black Shirts really dominated Illinois, played really good football. Okay, the defense stepped up after a poor performance against Michigan and held Illinois to 19 rushes for 21 yards in the game. Again, that's 1.1 yards per carry. And now, as we know, all right, the offense still a work in progress. Okay, we put together 312 total yards, 154 passing, 158 rushing. Okay, it's one of those things, and I actually put out my, speaking of content that I've been putting out lately, I put out my midseason grades for the Huskers, Coach Rule, his staff, yesterday morning on Sunday morning, so go check that out as well. Again, I've been a busy man. It's not a bye week for me, but I love doing this job. I love Husker football, so when you combine talking football, watching Husker football into one thing, I don't know, a bye week seems like an extra exciting time to just put out a bunch of stuff and have fun with it. You look at the offense. Okay, we're clearly a run the ball first team. And the quarterback run is a major part of what we do. Now, I've commented, working on pitching the ball, Heinrich Haarberg actually pitching the ball, and he did 2 times. I counted throughout the game on Friday. And, he doesn't look incredibly comfortable doing it, so it's something they clearly got to work on. Not going to beat that dead horse already more than I've already beaten it. But I'm sure that's something that they'll improve and get better on going forward. I think if the offensive line continues to block in the run game and get better, they're getting better. Okay, they got to continue to get better, but they have improved throughout the year. And this was an unusual game where we actually had more points in the first half than we did the second half. That's typically not how we work throughout the season. All right, but it's one of those things where the offensive line typically gets stronger as the game goes along. The running game gets stronger. Most games you feel like we kind of wear the opponent out a little bit. Not always. Okay, obviously in a couple of losses that didn't work out, but in our wins, that's what we've been able to do. If we can get the passing game going just a little bit, take care of the ball, obviously a lot of turnovers. The defense did a great job. The special teams, block punt, recovered a fumble on kickoff. The Fighting Illini's kickoff return team put the ball on the ground. We recovered it. We gave the offense all sorts of short fields. I've been saying the two things defense does have to do better. They got to force more turnovers was one of them. The other one's getting after the quarterback. But they gave the offense all sorts of short fields. I mean, this game shouldn't have really even been close. It's still a double-digit win. It easily could have been 40-7. But we have things to improve on. But if the offense can start to execute, and if the defense and special teams can shorten the field and give them shorter fields to go, it's pretty simple math and football knowledge and even non-football knowledge. It's going to be easier to score. So the offense has got to clean up those little things. And I know they were mad about Illinois' defensive line moving and apparently shouting things to get the offensive line to false start and things of that nature. And I know Rule was pretty upset about that and fairly animated. You still got – I get it. I fully understand how that can be an issue. I believe there was an Iowa game a 3 years ago where Frost was upset about something similar or something along those lines. My point is, it's going to happen sometimes. I'm not a fan. I'm not saying they're making excuses. I'm not a fan of finding excuses. I'm a fan of finding a way, despite whatever's going on. So I want to see a more disciplined football team, and I want us to find a way to be a more disciplined football team, despite what is going on. Okay, there are times when teams in an away stadium in Champaign, Illinois, doesn't tend to be loud enough to necessitate this, but they'll go on a silent count. Okay, when you go on a silent count, typically what happens, if you watch one of the guards, they'll tap the center when the quarterback is ready, and then the center snaps the ball as soon as he's ready, which is usually pretty quickly. If you have to do something like that so whatever the defensive line is saying doesn't affect you, because you're not listening for a snap count, then do something like that, even if the crowd noise does not necessitate or warrant it. You got to find a way to be more disciplined when it comes to penalties, by God, when it comes to taking care of the ball. But here's the deal. A double-digit road win on a shortened week against a division opponent after a butt whooping. How was the team going to respond? Well, we saw. And yes, Illinois is not the best team under God's hot sun. But everything I just said is still true. A short week. It's hard. The win-loss percentage, the shorter the week is for the road team, it's a noticeable advantage for the home team on any time it's a shortened week. In the NFL, when you go from a Sunday to a Thursday, which is an incredibly short week, versus a Saturday to a Friday, the win-loss percentage goes through the roof for the home team versus the away team. So again, the fact is, it was a shortened week on the road versus a division opponent, a double-digit win. Okay, so regardless of how it looked and things we clearly need to improve on, to me, I thought it was the biggest game of the year, because if we go 2-4, that's hard. That's hard. But we're 3-3. We're going into a bye week. Hopefully we can get healthy. Okay, hopefully we can get some of these things worked on, ironed out, cleaned up. I am curious when we come back, and I've thrown it out there a plethora of times. What are we going to do with Jeff Sims? Do you keep him in the quarterback battle? Do you keep him as one of your quarterbacks but also work him in at running back? Do you keep him as one of your quarterbacks but also, like probably a backup quarterback in this scenario, but also work him in at wide receiver? Do you do that with Heinrich Harburg? If you're going to give Sims a chance to start, I'm curious to see what happens. At this point, I think Sims should be healthy enough to play in another 2 weeks. Okay. I'm not the trainer. I'm not there right there diagnosing his ankle. But I don't think you put him in the game 2 weeks ago against Louisiana Tech, even for a play or two, if he can't be ready to go 4 weeks later following 2 games and a bye week. So I'm curious to see what they do with Jeff Sims. He's a big, athletic freak that should not be standing on the sideline if he's healthy. What are they going to do with him? That's something I'm curious to see. All right, again, 12:30, Tony Davis will be joining me. Send me your questions, your comments, your concerns. The people segment, the last 10 minutes of this show, 402-464-5685. Check out gelandscapesupply.com or call at 402-467-1627. I have a plethora of content coming out on my own end. You can check it all out at carrikerchronicles.com, where all your football hopes and dreams will come true. At least part of that's true. All right. Turnovers, disciplined, penalties, got a tough road win. Some things were good. Some things need to be better. You know what that sounds like to me? Sounds like 19 and 20-year-old kids playing football on a national level with all eyes on them and everything they do being scrutinized in year one under a new coach. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay. It's amazing to me because now I hear people talking about 8-9 wins again. I hear people talking about we're in the race for the Big Ten West. Well, 100% of all of that is 100% possibly true. But just a week ago, people were looking at me sideways like I was bat crap crazy. We're on the radio. I won't say it the other way. Because I didn't think the season was over after a clubbing by Michigan. Do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Just do me this tiny favor. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me on most things, that's okay. Whether you like me, dislike me on most things, that's okay. But just do me this one favor. Let's try not to be overreactive. Every game is not the Super Bowl. Getting drubbed by the number 2 team in the country who's in year 9 under one of the best coaches in all of football, which is why the NFL is always brought up at the end of every year with Jim Harbaugh's name. Let's not overreact and pretend like Nebraska football should be obliterated, okay? Or we have no chance to win the rest of the year. We go on the road, win by double digits on a short week versus a division opponent on a Friday night in Illinois. Let's not go crazy and be like, we're winning 9. Easy for me to say, we're winning 9 games again, which is still possible mathematically. Let's just take it one game at a time. And so I have people that I chat with, and I tend to pay attention to people who don't overreact week to week. There are friends that I have who thought the world and the sky was falling after the Michigan game, and now they're like, we're going to win the Big Ten West, and we're winning 8-9 games. And I see it on social media as well after the Illinois game, and I'm just like, I can't pay attention to you. I can't give you any credibility. You have no credibility when you're this overreactive. This is college football. Okay, Any Given Sunday, anybody remember that movie? That's the pros. That's professionals. That's guys who are anywhere from 22 to 35 years old. And that's how they provide for their families. And anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday. Well, how much more do you think that's possible with younger kids? Now, the talent gap is different. The talent gap from a team who's 10-6 and 6-10 in the NFL is not the same as some of these college teams. Let's be realistic. Okay, because a 10-6 team might beat a 6-10 team on a last-second field goal in the NFL. Whereas, one of the best teams in the country could easily boat race, not one of the not best teams in the country, to put it lack of a better way, by 40 points. Although if you watch San Francisco versus the Cowboys last night, that's 2 playoff teams. The Cowboys will be in the playoffs, and they'll choke like always. But the 49ers are really good. But, I mean, my God, that game was ugly, and it was ugly quick. My point is simply this. They're young kids. You never know what can happen. If I'm a college football coach, I may not know which team's going to show up from week to week. Look at how Georgia has looked at times this year. And then Kentucky was supposed to give them a game. Well, how did that go? Undefeated, ranked Kentucky. I quit watching at halftime. It was like 34-3 or 34-0. I don't know the final score. I became very disinterested very quickly. That Georgia team hasn't looked good all year. But when they needed to turn it on, by God, they did. So here's my point. These are college kids. They're young kids. They're just trying to figure out life, let alone football. I try not to overreact. I'm a passionate guy. When my dad's here, and he literally just called me. He said the difference between you and he brought up Sam McEwen, a guy I used to work with at the Omaha World Herald. He said he's much more fact-oriented and you're much more emotional. I was like, wow, what does that mean? I go, I use facts to back up my emotions. And he goes, Adam, it's a compliment. Like, that's just how Sam is. He does a great job. That's how you are. You do a great job. Even with my emotions and my passion, I try not to be overreactive is all I'm saying. All right. I've only got about 5 minutes until break. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to look real quickly at this schedule. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time, but here's where I understand what people are saying. Adam, I see 7, 8, 9 wins. You know what I care about? I care about 6. I don't want to go to a bowl game, some backhanded way at 5-7. Okay. If we got to 9 wins, which was mathematically possible, oh my God, that would be phenomenal. I'd be calling for us to be in the 4-team college football playoff with three losses and a not tough schedule, and I wouldn't care. My point is, I definitely see, and I don't see a whole lot of excuses to not get to 6-6. Anything beyond that is icing on the cake. You look at this Northwestern team. We're going to have a bye week and an extra day because it was a Friday night game versus Illinois going into that game. This is a Northwestern team that just got outgained by Howard. They won. Northwestern did. And that's the same team that got outgained by Howard that people didn't know if they'd win a game this year, who's 3-3, I might add. Highly entertaining to watch because they play with such great effort. I watched them be within a touchdown of Penn State going into halftime. Again, college football, you never know what's going to happen, but that's a very winnable game. You look at Purdue. This is a Purdue team that looked awful against Fresno State week 1. They've looked awful at times this year. And then they go out and they pretty much, I don't want to say obliterate, but they beat Illinois by 25 points. And this is a Purdue team that has an offense that can put up points, and they actually look decent at times. But that's a very winnable game. Their defense is not great. They can put up points offensively, potentially, but that's a winnable game for Nebraska. Michigan State is a team that's just an upheaval right now. With everything that's going on, with all the allegations, the Mel Tucker stuff, I'm not going to dive into it right now. There's 3 straight winnable games right there. Now, do we go 3-0? Do we go 0-3, 1-2, 2-1? I don't know. But I see 3 winnable games. You look at Maryland. They're a pretty good Maryland team this year. I'm going to be honest with you. We will not be favored going into that game, even if we win the next 3 games. Maryland can put up points, put a Tagovailoa at quarterback, and you're going to be good because that just consistently works. This is a team I thought would play Ohio State a little bit closer on the scoreboard last weekend. I don't think they're more talented than we are. They brought in a lot of players in the transfer portal. I do know that. They increased their size up front on the defense. I do know that. That's a team that we can play with, and you never know what can happen. They'll probably be favored. Wisconsin's a team that looks decent, but not great. I watched the Washington State game. Washington State was in control of that entire game, was up by almost 20 points at one point. Wisconsin came back to make it interesting, still lost by 2 possessions. But that's a beatable Wisconsin team. They're going to run the ball, play defense. Story as old as time. Quarterback isn't great. Even though they want to throw the ball, they're not really going to this year because they can't yet. That Iowa game. That's a team whose offense is even worse than I thought, with their offensive coordinator's job on the line and Cade McNamara. No disrespect to that kid, but I didn't think he was the answer. Now he's out, and then they got a backup quarterback in. I see, of our last 6 games, 5 games, and I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I could see myself predicting a lot of wins. Maybe even 5 of those games I could see myself predicting as wins. The one game I do anticipate as, well, there's 2 games we'll definitely be an underdog in. That's Wisconsin and Maryland. Probably an underdog versus Iowa, just because they've had our number as of late outside of last year. My point is, there's a lot of potential wins on this schedule. There's also a lot of things we got to get better at discipline-wise. Turnovers, taking care of the ball, penalties, things of that nature. I am so intrigued by the last 6 games of this year. Not because we're playing a bunch of juggernauts, thank God we're not. Not because we're an elite team, not even close, but because I could see us, my God, honestly, I could see us winning 4 or 5. I could see us losing 4 or 5. And I don't want to give away what I think our final record is going to be, because I am going to do a final record just for fun. I don't know what's going to happen. I made that clear. But a just for fun final record, will we make a bowl prediction show here sometime this week? Maybe I'll put that out Saturday like I alluded to earlier. I'm so intrigued by the last half of the season because it's truly, you have no idea what's going to happen. I know there's not necessarily a college football playoff or national title spot on the line, but we are in the Big Ten West conversation, which is insane. We're also in the not going to a bowl game conversation, which I think is also not insane, but I'm not a fan of that conversation. Anyways, lots to talk about in the rest of the show, the remainder of the Husker football season. I personally and emotionally, according to my dad, love you, Dad, find it very intriguing. By the way, I tried to invite him on the radio today. He's not a public speaker. I tricked him a few years ago into going on to one of my shows, and he's I don't think he's ever forgiven me since. So I couldn't pull that button off. But Tony Davis will join me right after these Words from our sponsors.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the Bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The weekend forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine as well as some calm winds. Afternoon high should top out around 66. Tonight we'll see clear skies and an overnight low of around 40. And tomorrow more of the same, lots of sunshine, calm winds. A little warmer tomorrow. We'll see an afternoon high of around 72. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tailored Lights is your go-to local manufacturer and installer of the best landscape lighting. Tailored Lights is excited to highlight the architecture of your home or business and provide a warm environment that feels safe. And for those outside the Lincoln area, they do ship across the country and are happy to work with anyone near or far with lights anywhere from 18 inches to 110 inches. Enhance your curb appeal with an exquisite Tailored light today. Call 402-432-2572 or go to tailoredlights.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
The place you call home should always be a place of comfort. Warm and cozy in winter, cool and relaxing in summer. If your home isn't delivering the comfort you expect, call Bryant. It's more than just hot and cold to them. It's about providing the best comfort solutions. And Bryant gives you a full 24-month test drive on your home comfort system. Get full details at BryantLincoln.com or call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. And joining us from a golf course near you is Nebraska's all-time leading rusher at the time that he was done with his eligibility, as well as a Cotton Bowl MVP, Cotton Bowl Hall of Famer, I might add. Sugar Bowl Hall of Famer, Cotton Bowl MVP, Sugar Bowl MVP, Cincinnati Team Bengals MVP, Mr. Tony Davis. How you doing, my friend?
Good, Adam. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. So right off the bat, Nebraska has had some injuries in the running back room, as we all know. Two of our top three backs are out this year. Okay, and so we have Anthony Grant stepping up as our lead back, and then you have Emmett Johnson, who wasn't expected to play a ton this year. You can see he's got great talent, great burst, athleticism, gets in, shows some of that. Unfortunately, fumbles the ball on Friday versus Illinois. If you're a young running back who's kind of been thrust into playing time a little earlier than you expected, you're giving advice to him, what would your advice to him be?
My advice would be to encourage those around you to practice harder so that come game time, you're used to the violence of the game and not worry about making moves, not worried about juking people, but worry about hitting holes right, reading blocks right, and being able to do it on the run. You only learn that through a full contact practice, which they do a pretty good job of full contact practice. And you become accustomed to seeing things on the fly pretty easy. But it takes a lot of that repetition to get that done.
Now, your nickname from your playing days was Tough Tony Davis. Now, I've never asked you about this, so I might as well do it on air live with people listening. All right, I've been told you aren't crazy about the nickname Tough Tony Davis. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
That's completely accurate. And here's why. Can you imagine you're sitting in an opponent's team's defensive room and they call this guy Tough Tony. Let's see how tough he is. You can't imagine how many extra shots I took at the bottom of piles for that stupid name. So I went to the press. I said, quit calling me that damn name unless you want to come take those hits for me. Because you just got extra hits. And so, no, it's a tough game. Everybody's tough.
All right. I never thought of it that way, and I've always wanted to ask you that question. All right. Now, we've had 15 fumbles on the season through 6 games as a team. Lost 5 of them. All right, so how do running backs get better at protecting the ball and not putting the ball on the turf?
By practicing it, by practicing telling the defense, try to take the ball from me every time. Try to take the ball from me every time. It becomes a conditioned response to securing the ball. And every time I had a coach who when guys fumbled, they made the guy carry the ball around all the time. In practice, he had to carry a ball. People walk by trying to knock the ball out of his hand. Then you become accustomed to the pressure of the ball, being able to move the ball. Again, it's a conditioned response.
Were you ever one of those guys that carried the ball around from class to class and on the weekends and everywhere you went to the grocery store? Did you ever do that?
No, we did not do that. I didn't have too many fumbles. I had a few, but I didn't have too many. I had a coach Mike Corrigan, who you practice securing the ball high and tight all the time. I mean, just all the time. We had guys who did do that, but I didn't have to do that. No.
Now, I'm curious your thoughts on Irving Fryer. Okay, he was on this station last week, and I know a little bit's been made of this, but I was curious your thoughts on this because he kind of commented on being a former player and he didn't always feel welcomed. I think he said something to the effect of feeling tolerated, not appreciated, and that goes back some length of time in his personal experience. How have you felt over time as a former player when it comes to coming back to the university?
5-10 year span where that was probably Irving was probably right in saying that. A lot of former players felt that way. With Trev taking over, one of our own, it's a different story now. We're more than welcome, and here's the thing. I don't think that former players should expect the royal treatment all the time. I mean, you're a former player. You understood that you had to work to get to where you were and to accelerate and learn to, you just learned what was expected of you. It's not given, it's expected. And if you don't live up to that expectation, then there's criticism as a player. We all know that. We've all been involved in that. But from a former player standpoint, I think Trev's doing a great job of honoring former players, of making sure we all feel welcome, and he does a great job at that. I very much appreciate Trev.
Now, I'm that, as people know, I'm that guy that will ask any question I feel appropriately. A lot of times I feel it's how you ask it, and you ain't got to dwell on it forever. So I wanted to ask you that question. We're not going to dwell on it. To put my 2 cents out there, yeah, there was a period of time where former players absolutely 1,000% felt that way, and I felt that way at a period of time as well, but you make a great point. It's not necessarily the current regime or the current staff. It might be a little bit of residual rollover with how some former players feel, but I just wanted to chat with you about that real quick. But let's chat about something else. Something else I brought up, okay? I think other people have brought it up as well. You got a talented guy, Jeff Sims. Let's say Heinrich Harburg starts the quarterback versus Northwestern, our next game. What are your thoughts on taking a talented guy who's currently a quarterback and potentially using him, because we are short at running back experienced guys. We are short deep threats at wide receiver. What are your thoughts on using a guy, an athlete like Jeff Sims, in other various roles if he's not the starting quarterback in the future?
I think that is appropriate. I think that should be called for and at least experimented with, and talk to Jeff about it, see what he thinks about it. But you're right, he's a great runner, but there's a big difference between running as a quarterback when the pocket breaks down, you have some holes to get through, big holes sometimes, versus running between tackles. Big difference. But I would certainly experiment with it. I like Harburg at quarterback. I like what he's done. He's led our team. This last win was against Illinois, but that was a very important game. Very important game because you have to. You know this. We played in successful teams. You have to learn how to win. You have to learn when you're down how to come back and win. And they did a good job of that last week. It wasn't pretty, but it was a comeback win that was needed and put something into the heads of these kids. This is what you have to do to win. This is what you have to do to win.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. And if effective is all that really matters to me right now. Okay, so talk to me, because I like what Harburg's done. He's obviously got things to work on. Young guy, young kid, no doubt about that. But what's impressed you when you say you like what Harburg has done? What's impressed you? What have you liked so far about what he's done at quarterback?
A, his running ability. B, his ability to throw that ball from different angles and get it to receivers. You'll see him throw a sidearm sometimes and over the top sometimes, but he appears to be a good leader. He appears to be the kind of player that his teammates rally around. They like him, and that's you got a quarterback exception in the huddle, and it's his huddle. Most of my quarterbacks I play with were like that. You stepped in the huddle, it was their huddle. They were the leaders, and if Harburg's leading that team, I'm not in the huddle with him. I really don't know, but it appears from his performance that's what he's doing.
when you watch the demeanor, the body language, when I was on the sidelines, albeit the Michigan game, you can just see and kind of hear and feel little things here and there. I feel like he's the type of person, player, kid, player that Nebraska fans really kind of are endeared towards. It's just what my gut tells me. Now, you and I, we were recently back the night before that Michigan contest for a celebration of the 1983 Nebraska football team, the scoring explosion. Also, 50 years since Coach Osborne coached his first season at the University of Nebraska. So talk to me about some things that stand out to you from being coached from a guy like Coach Tom Osborne.
Well, Coach was first of all, it was a whole different time period, as we well know. We could give out 45 scholarships a year with no top end. We had 190, 200 guys on scholarship, so there's a lot of talent out there. And Coach Osborne believed in continual repetition to perfection. We would run 200 plays of practice, and all of them were live. Wasn't no messing around. They were live, and that ingrained into us exactly how the game should be played. My coach used to say it's a nasty game for nasty boys. Well, we challenged each other like you guys did in practices. We would have no fewer than a half dozen fights at practice, just between players, and sometimes between coaches. That's how competitive it was on the practice field. Well, that competitiveness of the practice field carries over into the game. And I was back for 10 days in Nebraska. Met Coach Rule. He was very generous. Come over and visit with me for 10, 15 minutes. All the assistant coaches come over, said hello, introduce themselves. Then I watched them practice, and they practice hard. He gets after them. He holds them accountable. You got to be held accountable in practices, because if you're not held accountable in practices, you'll make mistakes on the field during the game.
All right, Tony. So you said a lot of similar things that night when they were honoring Coach Osborne. I gotta ask you this, dude. 200 plays of practice, 200 plays of practice. That seems like a lot, dude. Is that a real number?
Yeah, we run 50 plays a station, 4 stations. And sometimes when it wasn't good enough, we do more.
Oh, yes. I've definitely been a part of practices where you started an entire period over with like 30 seconds left in a 20-minute period. Yeah. No, that's not something players enjoy. The 1983 team. Being as we were just there at that celebration together. I know you weren't on that team. I didn't play on that team, but you watched that team, I'm sure. You've gotten to know some of those guys. What are some of the things that stick out to you the most when you think back on the scoring explosion, that 83 season, and that team itself?
I was at the Orange Bowl Miami game. I was playing with Tampa Bay at the time, and I went down to the game. I was on the sidelines of the game. I was around them for about 3 or 4 days watching them practice, and they practiced hard like we practiced. And plus they had a tremendous amount of talent with Mike Rozier, of course, Turner Gill, Ricky Simmons, Irving. This was a team that was loaded. They also had a tremendous offensive line. So these guys were loaded. Defensively, we weren't quite as strong that year, but we were very strong offensively. And these guys were good, and they knew it. And that's a big part of it when you really understand how good you are and what you need to do. And I was very impressed with that. On the last touchdown after we scored, I'm standing next to Coach Osborne, and I'm thinking, what's he going to do? He didn't even hesitate about going for 2. Didn't hesitate. He just went for 2. And which is Coach. Coach was either going to win or he wasn't going to win. We could get him up for a tie. We may win the national championship that year, but he didn't. But that's Coach. Coach plays to win. He doesn't play to tie. He plays to win. And that team was the scoring explosion was exactly right, man. They lit it up all over the place.
I've always said, personally, I can handle a win, I can handle a loss, but man, do I hate ties. And the only thing I got to add to that is real men go for 2. All right, last question I got for you, my friend. Do you think it's more likely And I'm going to, it's one end of the spectrum or the other. And I know I'm being drastic with this. It's kind of the point of hopefully a little bit of a fun question. Do you think it's more likely that Nebraska goes 5-7 to end this year, or they win the Big Ten West?
Well, I don't know about winning the Big Ten West. I think that's, I saw us 8-4. That's kind of what I was looking at, 8-4. So we'll see how that turns out. I think Coach. First of all, I'm a big believer in what Coach Rule is doing. It takes time to build. One thing I noticed when I went to practices was we're lacking in talent. We just don't have the players. Now you got the receivers getting hurt, running backs getting hurt, so we're down some. So it's going to take a little more nitty gritty dirt band type football to get this going. I like Anthony Grant. I think he's a great back with. I like Johnson. Johnson has some explosive ability. We need to capitalize on that. I like the way Harburg runs. I think a little more inventive option play. For this is just my opinion, but a little more inventive option play would be good for us with Harburg and Johnson and Grant back there. So it's option football, triple option football is a different kind of game. So you can actually run true triple option without great offensive line, because what you're doing is you're allowing one defensive player, maybe two defensive players, to go unblocked, and you force them to make the decisions on the run. So I'm a big believer in option football, and a lot of great teams are running that, but not triple option, but they're just running that shotgun option, however they do that stuff. But I like what I see. I like the progression. I'm glad we won this game. We got to find ways to win other games. I'm sure Coach will put these guys through the heat next couple of weeks practices before the next game. Who do we play next?
We got Northwestern
in Lincoln.
Yeah, it's actually the 100th anniversary of Memorial Stadium.
Oh, well, there you go. I was at that first game 100 years ago.
Well, Tony, I want to. I wasn't sure how to respond if you were serious or not, to be honest with you. I want to thank you for joining me.
I ain't that old.
Yeah, no, I put that. I was doing the math quickly in my head. I was like, wait, Tony's not quite that old. I don't want to keep you up from your golf game any longer. I appreciate you taking the time to join me, my friend. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Tony Davis on the Aloe Fiber VIP line. We will be right back.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Leaves are falling and the temperatures are cooling down. But don't put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Leagues are underway with winter leagues beginning on November 27th. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate and team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf, inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Book a tee time today or learn more at Double Eagle Golf.
To get into the electrical construction industry. The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Looking for a convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through October 13th, you can join for just $1 down, $10 a month. We've got over 2,400 locations with most open 24 hours. Join now to enjoy free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Whether you're new to a gym or a fitness pro, the Judgment-Free Zone is the place for you. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment. Cancel anytime. Deal ends October 13th. See Home Club for details.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Are you looking for a night of epic fun without breaking the bank? Look no further than Sun Valley Lanes and Games. Join us for our late night special every Sunday through Thursday night and enjoy nonstop action with our Unlimited Fun promotion. Unlimited Fun includes everything you need for an unforgettable night out. Unlimited bowling, unlimited laser tag, and unlimited lucky putt mini golf. Show a valid college or military ID at check-in and get $2 off your admission. Visit the daily rates page at sunvalleylanes.com for complete details.
Sun Valley. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your week forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine as well as some calm winds. Afternoon high should top out around 66. Tonight we'll see clear skies and an overnight low of around 40. And tomorrow, more of the same. Lots of sunshine, calm winds. A little warmer tomorrow. We'll see an afternoon high of around 72. A meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. It is that time of the week. It is that time of the show, I should say, because we have this show now multiple times a week. But the people's segment. Now, if you have not yet done so and you wish to do so, please call or text 402-464-5685. That's 402-464-5685. Send me your questions, your comments, your concerns, anything you'd like me to discuss right here, right now, live on 93.7 The Ticket. Also, and as always, do not forget to check out GELandscapeSupply.com or call 402-467-1627. Check out the YouTubes. A lot of great content from here on The Ticket. All right. The content is phenomenal. The hosts are phenomenal. Go check out 93.7 The Ticket on YouTube, as well as check out the Carriker Chronicles. In addition to all this great content, hopefully I'm putting out some slightly above average stuff myself to maybe slightly below average, depending on your position, perspective, and opinion. I'm okay with it all. I look forward to feedback from everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, CarrikerChronicles.com, where all your football hopes and dreams will come true. Let's get to your questions, comments, concerns. Notorious B.I.B. says, with the seemingly depletion of our running backs, do you feel we should at least try to involve the fullback more in the running game? Now, that's a great question. You look at the fullback position. Okay, we got a couple of young guys in there. All right, a redshirt freshman, a redshirt sophomore, transfer. Okay, and you look at these guys. I was of the opinion that we would actually have the fullback on the field more often this year than we have. I have to imagine that these are younger guys that are learning, growing, developing, and we are starting to see them more and more. We are starting to see them as the year progresses on the field with more play snaps. Also, we're starting to see a little bit of the option out of that old power I formation. Fullbacks tend to be a little bit better blockers than they do runners. That is not always true. I mean, look at some of the guys we've had in the past, from the Macavickas to the Corey Schlesingers. Okay. Sometimes tight ends and fullbacks, sometimes they're similar, sometimes not from this aspect. They are capable of blocking. They are also capable of catching the ball if you're a tight end, running if it's a fullback. So there's a threat of a block or some sort of the guy doing something with the ball is what I'm getting at, whether it's running the ball probably as a fullback or catching it more likely than not as a tight end. Okay, but there are tight ends who are really just glorified wide receivers, if we're being honest. They can catch the ball, and they're really good at that. I'm not going to drop any names, and a lot of these guys are elite pass-catching tight ends, but they ain't blocking air. Like, let's be real. Sometimes some of these tight ends, and I'm not even talking about tight ends in our team right now. I actually think we have really good blocking tight ends. I'm just talking about tight ends that I played with, tight ends that I watch on TV right now and in the past. And some of them, if I was to drop their name, you'd be like, they're some of the greatest tight ends ever. Yes, at catching the ball. Not always the best at blocking. Rob Gronkowski is a name I will drop because he was just as good a blocker, even though it wasn't talked about as much, as he was at catching the ball and yak yards after catch. That's what makes him, in my opinion, and arguably one of the greatest tight ends of all time, maybe the greatest of all time, because he was one of the few that was great at both. Here's my point. You can be a great tight end without being a great blocker. You can't be a great fullback without being a great blocker. You have to be able to block first, then run the ball. So I have no problem with incorporating the fullback into the run game more often, but you have to realize that you're giving it to a guy who is on the field because of his blocking skills first and predominantly, not necessarily his running skills. And as I pointed out in the past, there are fullbacks who can absolutely carry the ball and do a great job. I think right now we've got young fullbacks who are developing, fullbacks who are getting on the field more and more. But you got to keep in mind they're young, developing, but they're only getting on the field if they can block. You don't put a guy on the field at fullback very often at all if he's a better runner, unless he's just an elite runner as well as blocker, and then he should probably just be a running back. I hope that answer, a little bit long-winded, kind of went into the weeds. I hope it made some sense. I would love to see us find a way. I got no problem with Anthony Grant carrying the load. I got no problem with Heinrich Harburg carrying the ball a ton. It would be nice to find a way to find some other guys to get the ball to. If Emmett Johnson can secure the ball, that dude's got burst speed. I mentioned it earlier. Tony Davis, one of the great running backs of all time in Nebraska, mentioned it earlier. Whether it's Jeff Sims getting the ball some, Tony liked that idea as well, or whether it's the fullback. You just got to realize the fullback isn't going to be, I mean, there's very rare exceptions. Mike Allstott, okay, and I know he's one of the biggest named fullbacks of all time, okay? There's rare exceptions where you're going to give the fullback more than 5 carries a game, and even that seems like a lot, honestly. You know, I don't know that Corey Schlesinger had 5 carries in that Orange Bowl where he had 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. He may have only had 2 or 3. It just happened to be really big plays. Now, I would love to get more guys involved, but they got to be guys who earn your trust in practice is basically what I'm getting to. All right. Unnamed texter says, why is Josh Fleeks, not part of the rotation and conversation? I assume you're talking about it, running back. So this is a guy who was a wide receiver. This is a guy who had, if I remember correctly, had some weight issues at one point. Okay. Now, he obviously broke off, a 74-yard touchdown run, prevented us from being shut out versus Michigan. So he showed he's got some ability and some flash. When it comes to running back, it's to get on the field on a consistent basis at a lot of these positions, you have to be well-rounded, okay? Or you're just going to come in, like as a DN, you can be a great pass rusher, but if you can't play the run at all, you're only going to come in on third downs. And trust me, there's worse things in this world than to come in pass rushing situations. But if you only want to play 10, 15 snaps a game, then don't play the run, only rush the passer. If you want to be great, you got to do both. If you want to be on the field a lot, you got to do both. You want to start, you got to do both. So it's kind of the same thing whether you're a tight end. I just talked about that. You can kind of be a rare exception, but you better be an elite rare exception. Okay, at running back, you have to be able to not only run with the ball, protect the ball, make people miss, but you got to be able to pick up the correct blitzer and pass protection. That's where most young running backs struggle. Or a guy who's going from running back to a wide receiver to running back in a position transition. I don't know. I don't know it's about Joshua Fleeks. I just know what I know about running backs and what I've seen. Picking up blitzes is one of the more challenging things for running backs to do. Learning pass protection, being willing to step up at a guy. A lot of time these blitzers are unblocked. And they're linebackers and they're safeties, and they got 5, depending on the depth they're blitzing from, maybe 10 yards of full speed action coming right at you, and you're just standing there. Now, you can step up, so you can get about, maybe 2 feet worth of forward momentum, but you got to know who to blitz. You got to be willing to absorb that, and you got to be good at it, and that's challenging. That's something that takes time, as well as running with the ball and making people miss and taking care of the ball and pass protection. I mean, Josh is a former wide receiver, so I'd have to imagine that running routes and catching the ball out of the backfield wouldn't be something that he would struggle with a ton. So my point is, just give him a little bit of time. There's more to being a running back than just running with the ball. Okay, so give Josh some time. I am curious to see how he develops. All right, I want to thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Have a phenomenal week. And until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the ball.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on